You leave me at 5, 6 in the morning. You go to work, you come back later in the day, I'm high. You left me high. At the place is a mess. You get, and then first thing I'm doing, I'm asking for money to go get high. It's only 3 days and maximum you're like, get out. My name, I'm almost Wakatonene. I was born in a family of 4 children. One died, firstborn. My parents are clergymen, so I come from a religious background. I was not born in Uganda, so I've, in a sense, global trotted because of their evangelical work, majorly. So I came back to Uganda in S1, joining S1. So most of my early childhood wasn't in Uganda. Outstanding, traveling. I think I already hinted on that. I'm one person who can say my childhood was really, really, really awesome. My parents provided. My parents were the best they can be, looking back in retrospect. Of course, when you're a child, immature, very demanding, looking at things from that point of view. But in retrospect, I had a very good childhood. My parents were very good parents. I had a happy childhood. But the highlight really was traveling. We really, really went to diverse areas, diverse countries. Some just to visit, some due to their work-related issues. But in a nutshell, it's traveling. That is the highlight. Yeah, it was a happy childhood. I can say that confidently. The firstborn died when I had just come back to Uganda. I was in S2. My mom was actually, I was in boarding school from P5. But also it was accommodative of the school system of that school. But she made sure she picked me up every Friday and dropped me back every Monday morning. So I was like a weekly boarder in a sense. So she's a loving mom, still is. I wouldn't say was, but still is a loving mom. She's and was very engaging at that point, which I felt was very necessary. My dad, a bit more busy, but for him, life was made easier because we generally get along. Even if he wasn't my dad and we were age mates, we probably would be friends, me and him. We can literally talk from morning to evening non-stop. So if I'm to go on the side of my dad, it'll take a whole day. But the highlight is, in regards to my dad, is that we got along very, very, till today, we get along very. He is my friend. Now, when I came, I joined Intare, which is a government-aided school with how do you call it? With a local curriculum and structure generally. And so it's not what I was used to initially. So even though we were going so many places, it sort of was assimilated in a way and aligned. But now here it's totally different way of doing things. I found it intense. Now, and in a sense negative. And I was very young, so I didn't know how to adjust to it. And so of course it was very difficult from the hours we study, the intensity in which they apply their teaching skills, the aggressiveness, if that's the right word. It was all very different. Of course, also the language and the culture, because I was predominantly with, though I'm a Westerner, in a Western setting, so of course in the dormitories, you're not going to be communicating with English. You're going to be communicating with Nyankore. So it was difficult, and it's really rubbed off the wrong way. It really rubbed off the wrong way, and I dealt with it in an immature and wrong way. I was taking it as blame game. You people, you put me here, want there, international schools that I could also go to, blah, blah. But remember, when you're going to these other places, jobs there, packages and whatnot, that could not be offered now that you are no longer in certain, these things are normally expensive if you're putting it from example. But could I understand that at that level? So it's the blissful relationship, which was at the time when I was a child, turned very, very, very tense, and there was a lot of friction because basically in nutshell I was refusing to grow up and adapt and adjust, and this was the first real slap that life had handed me. You get? So yes, we had a relationship, but it was, should I say, its foundation wasn't firm. So certain waves blowing in the wrong direction, and all of a sudden fingers are pointing. Got into the wrong crowd, trying to fit in my own immature, naive mind. I quickly identified to what I would want to fit in, because like in every setting, there is a setting of apparently cool people and this and that. So at the time, the people who I thought I did, and that's due to Western influences like music videos and movies, and what looked cool was the guy smoking a cigarette, balancing his pants, they get the rude boy. So I'm like, I need to identify with that. And these are people who, of course, spoke slang and everything you see in the average hip hop video. I'm like, hey, this is what I want. So I identify with these people, and these people identified with certain things. Actually, most of my friends were 4 or 5 classes ahead of me. Really. So a mixture of pride, a mixture of arrogance, a mixture of ego. I'm better than this, I'm better than that. You're dealing with guys who also have their own baggage, and and identity crisis and whatnot. And then you start learning. So you don't really. I didn't really. Should I say I joined gangs? But within the schools, or the school. And then one thing catches on. You learn how to smoke. You learn how to drink. You learn how to take drugs. Yeah. So S1, mid S2, I got expelled in 3rd term. I went to watch soccer. Imagine, of all the things that I should have been expelled for, I got expelled for going to watch soccer. And then they made a check. I had escaped. I jumped over the fence. They found I wasn't there. But because I had so many other things to me, they're like, now let's take this advantage and get this bad seed out of the bunch, or bad crop out of the bunch, whatever analogy you want to use. And I got expelled. Now, things go really down south with my parents, especially my mom, who feels literally betrayed and probably as a mother and a woman doesn't know how to handle all this. Like, I mean, what did we do wrong? I think they're looking at themselves and assessing themselves and like, what's wrong? What are we doing wrong? Then of course the rebellion now starts kicking in, and then this adolescence and blah blah blah. So now the relationship really gets tense, compounded with now the messing up, the being expelled from schools. I mean, you can now we talk at a mature level. Me and my dad are like, I mean, it's one thing to go to school and they say ABCD, he's stubborn, he makes noise, he you get. But then he has never attended class. Some teachers have never seen him. Like, does this boy have any direction? So they really don't know what to do. And they're hinging on he's a kid. Maybe he'll grow up. You get. I myself don't know what's wrong. Amongst my siblings, the firstborn died. I told my sister, very close still today. But there's little she can do as maybe a sister. I don't know if I'm phrasing it the right way, but she's the assistant mom indirectly. So she also takes an emotional stance to it. And hey, maybe she can relate with me better and speak to me in a way better than my mom can in regards to advice, and because she's also young and ABCD, but she's older than me. So she tries. Even visiting, like for example Nalia, and then she was at Uganda Christian University. Then she'd always come to visit me, Nalia, blah blah blah. She tried. Even all of them try, but there's a sense where they reach their threshold where they're like, no, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle the situation. I don't know why this kid is being, because they see the potential, but then they're seeing the output or the results and they're like, what's happening? So I can't say that no one didn't do their part. My dad, of course, being a man, unlike my mom, is not going to be emotional, but doesn't mean he's handling it any better. You get? At least he would show face. He would even come pick me up from the schools when I'm expelled or blah blah blah. But they're confused, literally. But I can't say any of them really distanced me at any one point. It's selfishness taking a whole different level, that everyone and anything is a problem, everyone and everything is an enemy. They're trying. Maybe for good reasons. From Chitunga to Nalia SS, they're not really supporting me in a monetary sense, pocket money. Yeah, they give you the necessities and everything else that you'd need for money. But they're not giving you money because they know this guy may even go and which is true. But everything else they're doing. And even in that, you can't say they're not supporting for not giving me money, because I would have even gone and smoked and drank it anyway. So they're trying their level best, but they reach somewhere and they're like, yeah, at that point, no. They don't say, and they don't show they can't give up or they have given up, because they're still saying he's a child. But they reach a limit and they can't help you the way they want. They'll visit you 10 times in a month, but you get, the next day they're hearing the same reports. Especially the old man really took S5 theta high. It really has. Let's start again. He knew he never doubted my potential. Even my results are there to speak in terms of my, at least primary school results. Because you weigh a child's IQ from their primary school. And I was always among the top students in class. So he never doubted my intelligence. But he knew her S1 to S4 was disorganized. So A-level, he really put in a lot of effort. I saw that guy that I last saw when I was in primary, fully. I think he had also grown in his role as a bishop. He knew how to be a bishop and a father at the same time, maybe it was me when I was in S1, but now in S5, he had probably 5 years in the office, so he knew how to handle. So I really saw that guy again, full force, my dad. And everyone else, but really my dad really, he really took control of the situation and said, now this one. And I started well. But then, when you are just smart with the way you do your thing, but you don't really change, the results will show for themselves eventually. So a wind blown here and there, and I get suspended for funny things, and S5. Actually do S5 instead, the whole S5, but I got suspended in between there. Few things, blah blah, and I end up not going back for S6. So S6, then I go to another school, Namyango SS, and then now that guy comes back, the guy of S4, because now I'm like, to hell with it. I stop putting up a face, and it's in relation to my father being disappointed in life now. We've gone back to square one again, and I mess up a lot. I get expelled. Midway through high school, midway through second term, but this is even for the alcohol and the blah blah blah. Now the Namyango SS is a combination of the two worlds, of Nalia and the strict private school to the liberal government school. I go to Nalia SS Lugazi. Now they are just opened a new branch, Nalia SS Lugazi. And remember, Nalia S4, I sailed through literally. So they said, I found they navigated. The day I was expelled is the day my dad came all the way from Bushin, picked me up that very day to take me to Nalia SS. That very day. So when I was expelled, I was expelled from one school but slept in another school in the same day. And that was the trend usually. I never really even, the most I spent was a night. As I'm being expelled, he's already finding a solution for me. That's how supportive he was. So he takes me to Nalia SS. And Nalia SS, again, there's something about that school. But the Lugazi branch, I was in the Biogerere branch in S4. The Lugazi, again, things just go smoothly. You get. And I go back to Namyango SS to do my exams. Yeah. And that wraps up my very interesting high school adventure. I think 8 or 9 schools. Campus, I go to UC. And then now, combination of many things. What was supposed to be the renaissance of A-level, being focused, blah, blah, blah. Same thing, no direction, no focus. I even didn't know what to do with my life. If somebody asked me a question, what do you want to do with your life?
That in primary school is
Well, no. It was pilot, but the same old. I think that direction was supposed to be defined in high school, but then that didn't work out. So I finished S6. I get the results barely to go to university. And then I say, you know what? I like computers. So why don't I do IT? I didn't know. I thought computers were DVD, what? Logging into the internet. I didn't know IT was a whole different ballgame. And that was the basis as to why I chose IT. Yet, if I knew better, again, looking back, I should have done entrepreneurship and project planning or anything leaning towards that area. I just said, no, I like computer. So let me do IT. I chose IT, it didn't work out. And I got a dead year in my first. Generally, I only did one sem of IT. And I didn't even do exams. And then, so I got you know how UCU works. So I got a dead year. I was supposed to go back and do IT, but I changed. I said, okay, fine. Because I'm starting to know myself, but I'm still very lost, still very confused. I'm still very dysfunctional. So I understand that I have a knack for entrepreneurship. Because even at Setahaya, I started a Rolex business illegally in school. Because those are one of the things that, unlike the Intares, which looked at big things, the setters, they look at small things. How can somebody start a business in school, blah, blah, blah. Of course, they have to apply in a lot, because even to have a shop at a school, you're screened, you get my point. What if the chapatis, what if kids falls? I'm looking back at that now, but then I'm like, let me start a chapati business. But the protocol involved, I don't understand it. So I'm like, I'm going to do it illegal at night. After prep, I'm selling chapatis to students. And of course, there is always the intelligence network. You know how schools do that. So adding on chasing girls and blah, blah, blah. They're like, this one is going to be a problem. And remember, they have a very, very, strict way of doing things. So I represent a very big problem. So that's all. So, yes. So by the time I join university, IT, blah, blah, I understand that I actually like doing business, but it was always in a negative, unproductive way. I had an entrepreneurial mindset, so I'm starting to understand that now. So I say, you know what? I still love computers, but I like business. So why don't I do business computing? So I go back to do first year again at Mukono, but business computing. It doesn't work out. Again, majorly lack of discipline, lack of focus, lack of direction, blah, blah, blah. All those other aspects that require, and university is university, not going to push you. So I'm always in hostel, getting high, blah, blah, blah. And eventually retakes take their toll and blah, blah. And even still, UCU, university, eventually stops me based on academic reasons and blah, blah, blah. And then I'd even started also eating tuition. So it was a whole big mess. So eventually I can't move forward. I'm starting second year. Combination of academics, combination of tuition. So Mosei finds out. And yeah, that's how my university situation ends. Well, now when Mosei finds out, he's still looking for a way to adjust to it. But then I'm now getting high non-stop. Now, remember, alcohol and cigarettes, and yes, I was never really the marijuana person. Never really bedded with me, thankfully to God. But the weed rubbed off the wrong way. I got a lot of paranoia. But what I now understand is that it was just amplifying my insecurities. I was always thinking about, what is this person thinking about me? But I would hear voices, blah, blah, blah. It didn't really rub off the... Personally, I wouldn't, for me, going to buy weed. But if you have weed and you say, hey, you want to smoke, I would smoke. But then to buy it, no. So it was really me, it was alcohol and cigarettes that were my issues. So I continued doing those things. Jose is still looking for... Before, he always had a solution to every problem, before even the problem arises. Before, as I'm expelled, I'm already having a school to go to. But now, 23, he's looking at me. Same story of S2. He's never seen in class. Because, him also, by virtue of the fact that he's a bishop and that's an Anglican university, he also, I don't know how, I don't know why, but he became a board of directors of also the university as well. So he had a lot of connections within the system. So I literally would tell him, yo, I've never seen your kid. So it's the same pattern. I can understand when he's 15, but he's 23, he's never, I'm paying tuition, blah, blah, blah. And then he's even eating the tuition itself. And then he sees me from afar. Now, because of the whole university dynamic, and by the time we came back, he majorly reallocated to Busheng. One, the job. Two, that's where it's from. So Kampala, yes, we had a Kampala residence, but it was rented out. So he decided to take me to a relative's place, an uncle's place. And that's where I did most of where I would stay in and out of university. Holidays, just here. So, but then now I'd also become a problem there. Getting high every time. And now he was concerned, my uncle was concerned that I was messing up his kid, who's almost the same age as me, slightly younger, but almost the same age as me. And also, he was also, I could slightly blame it on age, was also going down that same path. And then he was just, because parental instincts, he's not going to blame his son, he's going to be like, what is influencing him to make the wrong decision? So, and then now I would also start stealing because I have to feed the habit and lifestyle. So now he thinks I'm messing up his kid. I'm becoming a security threat. He's like, bounce out of my crib. Now, university at UC has already messed up. Zay makes a drastic decision. He says, like, don't come back to Bushe. Don't come back also to my home. And I'm sure, because I never told my dad, I'm sure my uncle told him that, hey, try to be with your kid. And I'm very grateful for my uncle himself, because even taking me then, I don't think I would have done it. So he took a big risk to accept me into his home, because he knew what he was accepting into his home. But I was like, let me handle it. Oh, he thought he could. So, and I went to his home from back, Essex back. So it's now 4 years later, because remember I also did a day year. Like, no, I can't take this kid into my home. So I'm sure he called my dad and said, hey, okay, things have yes. So when he bounces me from, I now call my dad like, I'm coming back from Shane. Like, also don't come back to my place. Stay where you are. I attempt to do that actually. Okay, first in rebellion, I go and pride. I go try hustle my things out for like a year in India at a friend's place. So kind of like this setting where there's a boys' quarters. So the parents were allowing him to stay at the boys' quarters. I was staying with the kid, my friend, in the boys' quarters. But then again, same things. You're coming back high every day. Somebody else. And the parents sort of agreed to it. One, because I was tight with him all the way from SY. I met him at Nali SF. So we knew each other. I even knew his parents. And then I think it was based on that this is his friend. Then I'm getting high every day. And they are liberal parents, but I think they're like, oh, this one. Yeah. So they gently also tell him to tell me. So then it's been a month. I'm at that guy's crib. I decide now to go where? To Busheng. I go to Busheng. My dad gives me transport back to camp. That very day. He's like, yo, me the best I can do is give you transport back to where you're from.